My name is Shelly Fisher, and I am a pet therapy manager at Eskenazi Health, and this is my dog Bose. She is a 10-year-old Cavalier King Charles, and we would like to read a book for you today. It's about how to greet a dog. How many of you know how to greet a dog? I think it's really important because so many times our kids think that they can just run up to a dog and say hello to them. And as children, we want to say hello to them, but dogs don't feel the same way. So hopefully in this book, I will be able to share some ideas that Sophia Yin, who is a veterinarian, she wrote. So let's get started. You ready, Bose? How to Greet a Dog and What to Avoid by Sophia Yin. Number 1, don't approach dogs in cars. You see this? So as humans, when we're greeting a person in a car, you wouldn't just reach in like that, right? And pet a dog in a car, right? And they don't like that either. So avoid reaching in or touching a dog in a car. What you could do is stand a safe distance from the car so that you don't make the dog scared or become a threat to them. That's one way to meet a dog if they're in the car. Number 2, approach slowly and calmly when meeting a new dog. It can be scary when someone rushes up to you. So as a child and you're walking down the street and you see somebody running towards you, how does that make you feel? Dogs could feel the same way. So that's why it's very important when we approach a dog, it's slowly and it's with a relaxed walk. Number 3, ask for permission when greeting a dog. Interacting with a dog without permission can feel unwelcomed. So avoid interacting with an unfamiliar dog, especially if they're tied up. So if you see a dog tied up in a yard, it's important not to walk up to them just because you want to say hello to them, because they might not want to say hello to you. What you can do is be polite and ask first if you could pet the dog. Anytime you're walking down a sidewalk or a street and you see a dog, it's always, always important to say, "May I pet your dog?" It's good for the dog, it's good for you, and it's good for the owner. Right, Bose? Right? Avoid staring at unfamiliar dogs or approaching them head on. If someone comes up to you and stares at you in your face and in your eyes right away the first time that you meet them, are you a little scared? It can feel uncomfortable. And it's the same with dogs too. Avoid staring at or approaching a dog head on. The best way to do it is to approach sideways and look at the dog using your peripheral vision instead. So you would stand sideways and just look at the corner of your eye at the dog. Don't loom over a dog when you are first meeting them. Hovering over someone can make them feel scared. I think that's true. I feel scared if someone did that to me. So avoid leaning over dogs too, especially when you move or change positions. What you can do is make sure you stay outside the dog's bubble and present your side to the dog. And you can even sit down a little bit. So the dog is kind of looking at him and he feels confident. Hey, maybe I can pet this person. Was that enough storytelling for you, Bose? Come back over. Avoid reaching into a dog's personal space. Reaching into someone's personal space or coming too close can be rude. If someone came along and touched you in the face right when they first met you, how would that make you feel? So avoid reaching your hand out to a dog, even if it's to let them sniff them, because that can feel kind of threatening to somebody. If someone reaches out their hand to you right when you meet them, they can feel like, what are you trying to do? I'm not sure what you're trying to do. So the best way to do it, and the correct way to do it, you're more likely to make friends if you present your side to the dog and let him approach you at his own rate. So let the dog come to you if they want to say hi to you. As you can see in the picture. Avoid interacting if a dog looks scared. A thoughtful person who senses fear in someone they are approaching stays back rather than getting too close like this. So do the same and avoid petting or reaching for a dog who looks nervous or tense. So sometimes if a dog looks nervous or tense, you can even see their teeth, or their ears are pinned back, or their eyes are really big, or their tail's between their legs. They look scared. The best way, and it's okay to pet a dog if it looks relaxed and it comes up to you and it wants you to pet it. Sometimes what I do, it's called the 3-second rule. If I'm down and the dog comes over, and I'll scratch it for a little bit, right on its shoulder, or sometimes on its hip area or its back area, and you stop, then you'll take your hand away and you'll watch to see what it does. Wait 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, and see what the dog does. If it moves closer to you, if it looks at you like, hey, why'd you stop? Then go back to scratching that same area and do it again. It's an experiment to see what the dog likes. Touch and pet a dog gently. Some friendly gestures are unwanted or unwelcome by people. So if a person comes up to you and grabs your cheek, or pulls your ear, or pulls your tail, well, you don't have a tail, so they wouldn't pull your tail. But if they scratched you really hard or rubbed you really hard, that would feel uncomfortable, wouldn't it? And many dogs dislike seemingly friendly or overfamiliar gestures too. Often dogs don't like hugging, kissing, or rough petting. Some dogs love that, and it could probably be your own dog. But for a strange dog that you don't know, the best thing to do is probably not hug it or squeeze it or give it a kiss, because really that's how a lot of our bites happen for our children, is that they are trying to be loving and sweet, but the dog doesn't feel that way. So be mindful of the dog's feelings and pet gently. And a lot of times it's on the shoulder, it's on the back side of them. They really enjoy that. In any case, I hope that you find meeting a dog fun. Bose, wanna come back over? Come here, Bose. Maybe Bose will come say hi. We'll say bye to her. Come here, Bose. Bose, can you say bye? And if you see Bose on the street, she would love to meet you. Have a great day, everyone.
Such a great book, so much information. Even I learned.
Yeah, me too. I didn't know that you stand to the side. And
the side thing. Yes. Well, we're so grateful that Shelley shared that book with us and shared her knowledge and shared Bose.
Bose is so sweet. That's my favorite breed of dog, is the Cavalier King Charles. I have 2 rubies myself and have had Blenheims before. I love them. God bless little Bose.
Yes.
Hi, Shelley.
Bringing Shelley back tonight, and I'm sure that was a precious memory, and maybe a little bit difficult for you as you remember Bose. That's one of the I always say it's the one bad day that you have when you own a pet is that day that you know that it's time to let him go. So thank you so much for being here tonight and
Sure.
sharing some of your memories of Bose.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, she was a great dog. She was kind of the first dog that was my dog.
Oh
So,
gosh.
I'm sorry. I told myself I would do this. But, I think the pain comes in the wishing. It was here, the wishing that she was around, right? And I think, too, I don't know, Tony Robbins, I listen to him sometimes, and he talks about the four needs that people have in this life, right? Four basic needs that people have: certainty, uncertainty, love and connection, and significance. And if you think about it, a dog provides all of those things on a daily basis to us, and a cat, and any animal, really. But it's for Bose, she definitely did that for me. And I really appreciate that from her. Again, I think the pain comes in the wishing, like, the certainty of me walking through the door and her always being there to greet me. The uncertainty of some of the silly things that she would do. The significance of, she would want to sit by me at night, or I could, pet her. And that love and connection of, just when a dog looks at you, kind of mellow mode where their eyes are having sleep and they're just kind of hanging out with you. It's a very calming mode in any situation. And she was through some hard times with me. I had a divorce and she was with me. I had teenage daughters and she was with me.
Wow.
So she was a bright spot in my life.
Oh, well, we're all here. We're pet lovers. We've experienced what you experienced. So our hearts go out to you. And I think, through Book Nook, we've had so many inspiring stories. And I think sometimes we just need to know, like, your grief is real, and it's your own. And we wanted, in sharing Bo's story and memory tonight, to bring in with us a certified pet loss professional. There are people who can help. You are not alone when this happens. And Jane Rose is one of those amazing people in our community. Jane, we thank you for joining Pamela and Shelley and myself tonight.
Thank you for having me. Shelley, my heart goes out to you for your loss of Bose. She was absolutely precious.
Thank you. I agree.
How long ago when did she pass?
She passed in October, later October. And the hard thing is, too, I lost my golden retriever a year ago today, actually.
Oh, Shelley.
So sorry.
So she was an older dog, too, and I lost her a year ago today. Those things pop up on your feed sometimes. And I was like, oh my gosh. So
They do. They do, Shelley. I had the similar thing happen. I had some videos of my cat Riley that popped up from a long time ago, 2014. It was like I had no idea when we were making those videos of being silly that they would be a memory that would pop up on 3 years later when he had passed. He passed on Valentine's Day 3 years ago. And, same thing. It was like, oh, I'm so happy to see him. But, oh, my gosh, 3 years, it's been 3 years.
It's like that pain comes right back. I mean, it just gets you, right?
Yeah. I had to kind of move away. Right, exactly. I kind of had to move away when I was watching the book.
Yes.
And it's okay. I just had to, move away.
Yeah.
When I see golden retrievers, I'll still kind of get a little teary-eyed. But.
How do you think you're doing?
I think that when I think about I'm going to start crying, like I'm going to get upset, I say to myself, okay, and it's okay for me to do that. But then I just think, okay, what did I learn from her? What did she give me that I can kind of carry on? And what are some of the things that I remember best about her? And, I talk with a lot of dog people. And be able to talk about that with them too. I feel like it's an open conversation. I don't think people take that losing a pet as seriously as, I think we should, because it definitely is something that we hold dear and love truly. And, you know,
Well, the way you feel is there's no right or wrong with grief. So you feel exactly like you're supposed to feel. And you're right, you do get choked up when you see something or something reminds you of them. And that's called a grief burst. And that is part of our way of healing from that loss. In my opinion, pet love is probably the purest form of love because they love us unconditionally. They don't care what we look like, how much money we have, what kind of car we drive. They're always glad to see us. It doesn't matter if we've been gone for a week or we walk to the mailbox. And, you just don't have that type of relationship with humans. So to me, that is the purest form of love there is.
It's true. My husband doesn't run to the door every time I come home.
No.
And I know he loves me.
He runs away from the door.
Exactly. What do I have to carry it now? So, it's a huge loss when we lose our pets. And, you can't rank your grief. Some people feel like, well, I shouldn't feel like this. I didn't grieve this much when my father died or my grandparents. But you know what? The pets rely on us 100% for their care. And that's not something that we have with humans. So, with grief, you just have to take it day by day. And you're doing the perfect thing by replacing that very sad last day with the positive memories and the time that you and Bose were together, because that is what is going to heal your heart. And I wish I could tell you you'll wake up tomorrow and it'll all be fine. But really, it's never going to be fine because she took part of your heart with her when she left. And, you will always love her and remember her that way. But it's very difficult to get through this.
So, Jane, I mean, what you do, I can't even imagine, because you are, that day that none of us want as a pet lover is the day that you are called in, right? I mean, that's when we need you the most. What are the things that you say to someone when that grief is so raw? What are the ways that you can even start healing from that?
Well, I will tell you, people that are grieving don't always know what they want, but they do know what they don't want. So a lot of the time, I am just there to support them, by treating their pet very respectfully if they have me take care of them. We put them in a pet bed with blankets, and that's how they stay until we actually move forward with the cremation process. And I think sometimes, just like with humans, spending time with their body can help your head and your heart reconcile that loss. It's important that you talk about the pet, that you remember the pet. A lot of people, they don't understand that relationship. So when you start talking about losing Bose, they may say to you, oh my gosh, Shelley, that was last fall. Are you still talking about Bose? It's like, well, yes, I'm talking about Bose. She was a huge part of my life for 10 years. And, I'm entitled to talk about Bose. I want to talk about Bose because she brought me so much joy when she was here. So it's really just supporting that person, letting them know that their pet is going to be well cared for, doing whatever mementos they'd like from the pet, whether it's paw prints, nose prints, fur clippings, toenails, whatever you want. There's no right or wrong with grief. So whatever you need to help yourself heal is what you should give yourself.
And do you have some suggestions for people who find out, when their friend says, my dog passed away, or their coworker says, I can't come in today, my cat died. I think sometimes we don't have any idea, like, what is there something I send? Do I make you a lasagna? Like, what do I do? I want to help.
Well, I think it's important that you acknowledge your friend's loss, whether that's with a card or some flowers, or a donation to a shelter or a rescue that you support, just because you acknowledged how important that pet was to your friend. I do hope employers will be more tolerant of people when they lose their pets, because a lot of times today they choose not to have children, and the pets are really their child. And it's a huge loss when they've lost that pet. So, if you don't have a supportive boss, you just need to say, I'm taking a personal day or a sick day or whatever you need to be able to spend some time with yourself.
And Pamela, on the other side of things, you are usually talking with people who are at the beginning of the process, right? I'm getting the new pet, but that comes into play sometimes. Have you had conversations with people who say, I'm looking for a new pet, but it feels weird because I lost my pet? And that, do you know that feeling of like, I don't think I can ever replace this pet, but I want this love?
I do. I do. I've had a lot of people want to adopt a pet that perhaps looks like the pet that they just lost, or they just want to fill the void and then they feel guilty about it. And I reassure them that really it helps so much. And it's not replacing the dog. It's making your heart happy again. And often times they do just that. They fill that void and make the person feel that love from a pet again. So it's very, very healing. Jane, I have a question for you.
Sure.
We do have some children that watch the Book Nook, and oftentimes I've seen parents maybe tell their children that the pet's gone somewhere, or they can't find him or something like that. Do you feel it's important to teach the child to grieve and celebrate the life of a pet instead of thinking he just went down the street and decided not to come home?
Absolutely, because telling a child the dog has gone to sleep scares the child, because then they're afraid if they go to sleep, they're not going to wake up. It's important, in my opinion, if the child is old enough to love, the child is old enough to decide what they want to participate in as far as the passing of the pet. That the parents, they're going to be teaching their children to grieve, how they're going to grieve the rest of their lives, just by how they honor this pet who's part of their family. So I encourage them to set up a memorial table where they may put pictures of the pet, their food bowl, some of their favorite treats, to write a letter to the pet, draw a picture, anything that they would like to do. And then, you can make this a one-time thing, or you can, make it a week thing where each day you do a different activity in order to remember that pet. And whether it's, with children or even grown children, it's important that you, somewhere or another, have some type of little service to memorialize them, at home, or invite some of your friends over. Like Shelley, I'm sure you have a lot of friends who love bows. And I see she's with us, so bless her heart.
Yes, here.
Oh.
And I have, just like we were talking, Jane, I have these little pictures. This is the paw print.
Oh,
yes.
And
So
then
precious.
for Lily, I have a paw print for her.
a
Beautiful.
big paw.
I know, she was a big
Beautiful.
girl.
And some people
really passionate too. And it was the craziest thing. If I can just chime in one last thing. When I brought Bo's ashes back into the house, I have another dog who's an Australian Labradoodle, Hero. And he doesn't usually care if I bring things in or out. Like, it's not a big deal. He totally wanted to smell what was in my hand. He was all over it. She even got up on the counter and stuck his nose in it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it was in a bag, obviously, but he really wanted to know what it was. And I just kind of observed that behavior from him. And after he smelled it for a while, he turned around and went back into the room. Like, he went. So,
well, animals grieve too. I mean, they can go through a grief process just like we do. And one of the things I tell my clients is, when you take your dog home or your cat, set the urn on the floor. Give them the opportunity to come up and see what it is. Because, for some reason, their sense of smell is so much stronger than ours. It gives them some resolution with where their friend is. And they do just exactly what you said, Shelley. They come up, they're very interested, they check it out, and then they walk away. And that's very typical, but you gave your dog a great gift by letting him do that.
Well, I know we've got some pictures tonight. We had people send in to Grateful Rescue and Sanctuary photos of their pets that had passed as a nice way to memorialize them. Before we show that, Jane, I want to make sure people know how to reach out to you, just, because of the fact, one, maybe they're grieving right now, or they were grieving and thought that they couldn't talk about it, and now they know that there's this resource. And also, knowing you're there before that day is such an important thing.
Mhm.
How do people get in touch with the Rose Pet Memorial Center?
Well, they can just Google Rose Pet Memorial Center. And on the website, I have all my packages that you can select from. I also have a lot of resources there. There's a planning ahead guide, which none of us ever want to have to do, but it's very helpful if you read through it, print it out, so that you have some idea about things that you'd like to have done when your pet passes. Because a lot of times you're so emotionally distraught at that moment, you don't know what you want to have done. And I usually do a pet loss support group once a month at the Indianapolis Humane Society, but since the pandemic, we've not been able to do that. So I do have a grief email series on pet loss under the resources tab on my website that anyone can sign up for. And it's a great help, in walking through grief and knowing that you're not alone. And I also have some books on there too, I recommend.
Fantastic. Well, as we remember Bose tonight, let's also take a look at some of the other pets that we are remembering.
Oh, what a sweet memorial of all of our pets there. I love that we can have photos to keep them near to our hearts. And Jane, I wanted to ask you, you do have a dog that helps with your grief counseling, is that correct?
I do. I actually have 2 dogs and 2 cats. So I have two cats that live here at my memorial center, Luna and Tommy, and they're all rescues. And I have 2 Great Pyrenees, Sugar and Sam. And they are very good with helping people, through that difficult time. I have so many people who, you don't know if you always want to see another dog or cat when you've just lost yours, but they're so comforting to people, and they just seem to know and just come up and give them so much love and support.
Absolutely. Oh man, Jane, you're making me cry just thinking about
I know.
That's a grief burst.
I'm going to coin that. That's a good phrase. I'm going to use that phrase.
Yes, I am too. I never heard that term. And tonight, grief burst is going to be what. Give me a second. I'm having a grief burst.
Sorry, I'm having a grief burst. If you want to know why, then you tell them why. Because the more you talk about your loss, the better you heal.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Jane. Again, you can
Yes.
Google Rose Pet Memorial Center, and there are such great resources right now already for you there. And Jane and everybody there standing by to help you out. Shelley, thank you so much. This couldn't, well, I know this was not easy. But it means a lot to us that you were willing to be here and kind of share what you're going through so that more people understand that we need to talk about this, and it's a real thing, and it's not, I'm going to be over this in a week.
Right.
Nope.
And thank you for everything that you do. You know, in addition to, you know, being a dog lover,
Yes.
Shelley also, you know, works with therapy dogs. You know, I mean, you're out there, you know, with these dogs and making sure that patients who need to be uplifted through the companionship of the dog have that experience. So you're seeing that every day.
Sure, it's true, and I really when I first lost those, it was kind of hard for me to kind of get back in the swing of what I was doing. It was during COVID, so it wasn't as difficult, but I was outside working with some of the dogs. But I just kind of kept using, just kind of switched my mind shift into like how I can make things better, what I could learn from those. And I talked about her a lot too. So I have fond memories of her. My girls and I talk about her all the time. We'll talk about her silliness, the things that she did, and how she liked me the best.
Of course, right?
Of course she did.
I'm sure she still does.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you
Thank you,
guys.
guys.
This has been really, really special. And again, if you ever for a second think that you are alone in grieving a pet, you are not. There are resources on Jane's site. There are people who care, and Grateful Rescue is one of them. So you know, we're here to help you find that perfect pet, to being with you when the day comes that it's time to say goodbye. And speaking of that, it is time to say goodbye. Pamela, would you like to wish everyone a good night here on the Book Nook?
Well, as always, we appreciate everybody tuning in, and we thank our guests for taking their time and spending with us. We love you and appreciate you so much.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.